going on, guys? Welcome back. We're GQ Recommends.
And today we're going to be talking about 3 coats to get you through the winter. There were a lot of coats that we could have talked about.
Many coats.
I mean, we could have talked about leather coats, could have talked about like a pea coat or a really thick like shearling coat.
Like Bane level.
Yeah, Bane level. We wanted to keep it to a tighter list, something that's going to work for a lot of people.
I also think that they happen to be like some of the most versatile, and each one speaks to a very different type of style. So out of all the fresh, fly, and totally rad coats out there, we're only going to be talking about 3 categories today, and they are the puffer, the top coat, and wait for it, the fleece. Let's get into it.
The puffer jacket. First off, we wanted to start with the puffer jacket. It's pretty essential. It comes in a lot of different styles, different levels of warmth, but we think that it can work in any climate. It doesn't have to be in New York. It can be somewhere milder.
I feel like the archetypical puffer jacket is like that longer, cinched at the waist expedition parka that like explorers wore when they actually had to really worry about staying warm, and that was stuffed with the same sort of filling or a synthetic version of it that you're gonna find in one of these today.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's basically like wearing a duvet.
Totally.
Like with sleeves and a zipper.
So Gerald, the puffer that we picked today, we picked for a very specific reason, and not only because of its ubiquity. It's such a hot jacket right now, but it's the North Face's Nuptse jacket. And it's not just any Nuptse, it's in fact the retro version, the one based on the jacket the North Face released in the 90s, which means that it's a little bit more cropped and way more boxy than a lot of other puffers on the market. But we think that looks kind of cool because it helps balance out like the baggier, wider pants that we're seeing now and the sturdier, shit-kicking boots. Kind of creates this cohesive element to your winter outfits that I think it would be hard to do with a puffer that's sort of slimmer and longer.
Yeah, totally. It's trendy, but also a very classic cut, really. If you go back to, say, when the puffer jacket was first invented by Eddie Bauer, it was a shorter style. You would see silhouettes like this all the time in like the 50s and 60s.
And the Nuptse in particular is like about as iconically New York as Timberlands or like a fitted Yankees hat. It just works on the East Coast.
This jacket can also pack into itself, which is a nice feature because I feel like a lot of the times I go out and it's cold and then all of a sudden I'm walking like 5 minutes and I'm a little too warm, or you look at the weather and it's not what it says and you're like, I really don't need this. You can just pack it down and zip it up and like throw it in your bag.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a lot of coats. You can't do that with like a top coat or like a pea coat. You're just stuck with it. Like we said, there are a lot of different versions of puffer jackets. And if you really want to go for it, you want something that's going to stand out and get you maybe some daps, maybe some head turns. The And Wander diamond stitch down jacket is insane. It's definitely well equipped to take on whatever winter you're experiencing, but I mean, to be honest, I'm never going to go through that harsh of a winter. I just want to wear it because it's so sick.
It just looks sick. And like, you know that it's crafted from the highest quality materials in Japan. And Wander specializes in like very outdoors friendly gorp wares that'll make it look like you're ready to hike up the highest treacherous mount of whatever mountain you're trying to scale, even if you're just hightailing it to the subway. It's a dope jacket.
Yeah, it's sick.
There's a reason why when you think of winter jackets and coats, you probably think of the puffer. It's because it's the one that's going to get the job done no matter what the weather entails. And if your primary concern is purely staying warm, it's the jacket you want to get. The top coat.
So this next coat is one of my favorites. It's from a brand called De Bonne Facture. It's called their Granddad jacket. Granddad coat? One of those. They have this every season and it like almost every season it sells out. Even as like it's a hefty price point.
It's really good. It's probably my favorite one that we're talking about today. I think the details are really spot on in terms of like the fabric and the fit.
Right.
And in general, the styling opportunities here. It feels like really cinematic. Like this is like some Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant shit.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think this coat really embodies the top coat category. Top coats are long. They're usually made of like wool, are meant to go over maybe a lighter jacket or even just a sweater. They can be really rakish, loose, a little dressy, but you definitely don't have to wear it like that. You can easily wear it over a hoodie or, just a thrash t-shirt if it's not that cold outside.
I guess that's what I like most about this genre of coat. Like, because they feel, for lack of a better word, so rich, they're gonna make everything else you're wearing look exponentially more pulled together.
Oh, totally. I mean, especially in winter, you don't have the luxury of being able to show off like as much of your jewelry. So it's really about the outer layer. And this is like, it's a statement, but it's not super loud. It's not super garish. It's very classic. It's going to work for you, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now.
Yeah, when I think of people who wear the top coat particularly well, especially nowadays, I think of Jonah Hill a lot. I think he's able to blend his sort of like skate-inflected art gallery kid attitude with these more statement like designer outerwear pieces and then dress them down with like a hoodie and a pair of like scuffed Adidas, which I think speaks to the top coat's versatility and its ability, like we said, to make everything you're wearing look more put together by default.
Yeah, Jonah Hill's a really good one. I tend to think of Home Alone and Home Alone 2, the Wet Bandits. I mean, I feel like it's maybe been talked to death, but like, that's kind of what I'm going for when I'm wearing a top coat, honestly.
Yeah, you want like the precariously perched knit beanie.
Yeah, like a knit beanie, maybe a big scarf, and like knit gloves. As great and amazing and awesome as this coat is, if you don't want to spend quite that much, the Knickerbocker Charlie top coat is a great option. That one actually feels more Wet Bandit-like, which I really love. I actually have like a very similar. I have a few. I have a few very similar versions to this. It's more of a single-breasted coat. It doesn't have a belt. It's a little more clean, I would say, but still a classic-looking coat. You can definitely find vintage versions that I'm sure that those vintage versions were on their mood boards or something.
The most appealing component of a top coat to me is like the serious geezer energy that comes along with it. Menswear at large is like cottoning on to the fact that old dudes are like some of the best dressed people on the planet, and they've had these things for years and wear them routinely every year for months on end. If you're looking for a coat that sort of harnesses that old school Hollywood energy, the top coat is the one you want to get.
The fleece jacket.
The third essential coat that we're going to be talking about today to help you survive the winter is actually not a coat at all. It's a jacket, and it's a jacket that you're probably familiar with because they're super hot right now and almost everyone has one. It's the fleece jacket. The way I would probably wear this is under another coat, like either the top coat that we just talked about or the puffer that we mentioned earlier on. But if you're somewhere not on the East Coast and are enjoying blessedly more friendly temperatures, you could probably wear a fleece as a standalone layer, and that would be the only jacket you need when the temperature starts to dip.
The fleece jacket might not sound like a winter coat, but like you said, it depends where you are. I think for certain cities, this is a winter jacket. The one we want to really highlight for this is the Patagonia Retro X fleece jacket. Like the Nupsi earlier that we talked about, it is a retroed version of a fleece jacket that Patagonia used to make, like in the 80s, early 90s. Those have been really hot with like vintage collectors and can fetch a pretty high price point. So it's great that you can just find one brand new and you don't have to hunt for them. So it's got contrasting panels at the chest pocket and the collar for a little bit more durability. It's also got elastic at the cuffs and at the hem to kind of cinch it up and keep the wind out. And this, I mean, dude, the fleece on this, it's what people would refer to as a deep pile fleece. If you think about like a rug, like a low pile, like
Deep.
thing. Yeah, this shit goes deep. I'm crying.
Damn, bro. Fleece, which is a fabric that's super cozy and that you're probably familiar with, is like mostly prized for how comfortable it is and how soft and fuzzy. But now we're seeing a lot of really high-end and really cool buzzy brands also making fleece like a mainstay of their collections.
There are a ton of luxury brands making fleece jackets. It's Loewe, Marni, JW Anderson. Like, there's not a brand that isn't making a fleece jacket. It's almost like every brand has their own gene, you know? So one of our favorite luxe versions of a fleece jacket comes from 4S Designs. If you want something a little crazier, you know, with the same texture and comfort and warmth, this guy is pretty wild. Fun fact, you can have like crazy prints with fleece. It's not really a fun fact, but
no, it seems like that's something that brands didn't know you could do until like the last few years, and like suddenly there's been an explosion of brands across the price spectrum doing up fleece in like the wildest patterns you can imagine. The cool thing about fleece these days is that like it's not only incorporated into the classic silhouette that you see here, like 4S Designs, for example, uses this same pattern and this same material, but does it up in like a trucker jacket silhouette with a trim leather collar, which is also a really cool way to incorporate fleece into your outfits without feeling like you're wearing the more conventional fleece style.
Totally. I mean, you brought a great point, how there's another version of this in a trucker style. I've seen some in chore coats or even in like a top coat.
Yeah.
Like just, you know, basically head to toe fleece. So the fleece jacket is more of the material, but, you know, the Patagonia is sort of the archetype of the fleece jacket. And people are using the material in all kinds of different ways in a ton of different silhouettes.
If you're looking to expand your outerwear repertoire slightly and you don't want to go too overboard, if you're trying to condense it into just 3 essential styles that you want to wear a ton throughout the rest of your life, start here. The puffer, the fleece, and the top coat. Any variation of those will keep you toasty and keep you looking and feeling your best, even during the dog days of the coldest months of the year.
Well said. Agreed.